Shit, all those people you stepped on to get here, you asshole.
I don't think any of us ever thought it was going to last this long. This show was taped in front of a quarantine audience in Boston's friendliest neighborhood known as Bellevue Valley, in the shadows of Bellevue Hill. Previously on episode 3, I took you all from Martha's Vineyard all the way to the northern tip of Maine, to the Great Went, one of the biggest fish festivals to date. I set up a art show up there, and that's why you see all these pictures in old blue. I was a vineyard artisan back in the 90s, and I would sell my photography. And right before we went up to the Great Went, remember, I had a major opening at the Compass Bank. And so we're going to bring you right back to that moment on August 18th, 1997. Ho-ho! Hey guys, what's going on? It's Saturday night, May 9th, 2020. Can you handle it? It's the 130th day of the year. It's been 40 days since we launched this channel, so first and foremost, thank you for watching. And secondly, will you subscribe right now? Just hit subscribe. Subscribe. We need more subscribers, please. At any rate, welcome back to WHUFF TV. I hope you lasted through the last show. Okay, I drove all the way to Maine, and people thought that that was a very long episode. Well, you didn't have to drive 24 hours on no sleep, and all sorts of other things that kept you higher than the cost of living. At any rate, all right, how's it going out there, huh? We've been on this since Friday, February 13th. That's 57 days. Now, I never thought it was going to last this long, nor did I think it was ever going to get this weird. I mean, it has gotten so weird. Americans are shaming Americans right now, and you guys better knock it off, okay? You're not looking at each other, you're running away from each other, you're fighting to get in grocery stores. Be civil. We're all Americans, okay? And that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, yeah, this episode's going to get weird as well. We've got a couple things we're talking about. You know, I talked to you about fish last time. We know about that, so we're not going to get into that anymore. What you do need to know is that I met Emily Dickinson. Yes, I did. I met her way back when, on July 31st, 1997. She came to me. She came to me and she told me to go on the road. Yes, she did. I was up in West Tisbury at Jack and Missy's house. First and foremost, let's talk about Jack and Missy right now. Here we go. This is Jack. Take a look. All right, next lesson. Meet Jack and Missy Howland, the most generous people I've ever known. They let me live above their garage apartment for 18 years until Jack passed away on May the 5th, 2013. That was 7 years ago this week. He was my hero. Man was born in Cranston, Rhode Island in 1925, the same year the Great Gatsby came out. He met his wife, Missy, at Brown University. While he was at Brown, he was sent to the war. He was shot down in Okinawa in 1944 and returned home and finished up at Brown. They allowed me to live at their home in West Tisbury. And in return that summer, I photographed their home and made them a photodocumentary. Quite a piece of property up on Duart's Pond. And we'd have happy hour every single night. And Jack would drink a ton of Dewar's. He'd take a sip, put another head on it, add ice, take a sip, put another head on it, add ice. There was the hut. When I got the hut in 1995, Jack joked and kept calling me Cato. Jack came back from the war, a true hero, and he was slung shot into success like many of his peers. And he became the head of advertising AT&T. And during that time, they came up with Let Your Fingers Do the Walking. That's their dog, their cat, sorry, Tigger. Lambert's Cove is a very beautiful part of the island. These guys were so cool, and they couldn't stand fish at all. Jack's like, you better get listening to some real music. And he plays phonographs, and he played Glenn Miller. His greatest saying was, and he had a deep bellowing voice, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. The greatest generation they were originally named the GI generation because they were true GI Joes. Do you realize there are more presidents from the greatest generation than any other generation in American history? And I was lucky to have known this man. And when I came up with the vital light, he referred to it as the flickering light. He challenged me and busted my balls like no other. All right, so now that you got to know Jack and Missy, they were the greatest people in the world. They were so fun, they were so eccentric, and they were part of the greatest generation. And speaking of generations, there's a book out that by Strauss and Howe called Generations. And it talks about all the American generations and how we are on the hinges of both tragic times and awakenings. I believe we're at one of those moments right now where the hinge is swinging, okay? And they talk about like where people were when they grew up, during what time period. You know, for instance, if you were a child during the Civil War, or if you were a child in the 50s, it was like a Leave It to Beaver kind of place. Or if you were a Gen Xer like me, which I think we're very important people, we were latchkey kids. Okay, I told you before, we had payphones, we had rotary phones, we had tape recorders. You know, this is how we would, you know, record things and listen to things. We had Walkmans. So I want to go back to the time of Emily Dickinson, and she was from the what we call the Gilded Age, and that takes place from 1822 until 1842. And now I want to show you how to ignite the light.
The poets light but lamps, themselves go out. The wicks they stimulate, if vital, light. In here, as do the suns, each age a lens disseminating their circumference.
I guess I liked Emily Dickinson because she was a strong woman. I was raised by strong women throughout my whole life, including Rocky and Missy and my mom. And Emily Dickinson is America's most famous poet, female poet. She was an American woman of achievement. She was born on December 10th, 1830, and she died on May 15th, 1886. She lived her entire life in Amherst, Massachusetts. Her grandfather founded Amherst, Massachusetts. She was the middle of 3 children. Her range of her interest and experimentations is enormous. It's bold and courageous. And her absence of activity in her life is matched by the phenomenal activity of her intellect. Back then, Amherst was focused on education and religion. She was a rebel, a woman of power, and brilliant people are often lonely. And when she died, they discovered a huge pile of 40 books, close to nearly 2,000 poems. And she came to me with just 883 days before the year 2000. It was intended. I could feel it. Out of the sky, the poem. The poets light but lamps, themselves go out. And that was her old homestead. And I visited it. All right, so things got really weird during that time. Really weird. And you saw me, how weird I was up there in Maine. But it was the perfect spot for me to go to when I was having these thoughts. And I developed these thoughts. And then I created the vital light. Here's an excerpt from the book. It was Monday, August 18th, 1997. The moon was as full as the summer air. Old Blue and I drove alone down to Mount Desert Island to climb Cadillac Mountain together in the middle of the night. Not a soul was up there, and we were so close to the stars and the galaxy that they were touchable. The moonlight shined on the waveless ocean and made the enormous mountain visible in the electric blue, black light of the summer night. There, I was alone again in this 360-degree natural canvas. I had a vision. I saw myself there for a moment in the future with the masses on a very special day. It was unclear then when that actual day would be. It was a day that would be some 864 days from that moment. This would be more than 2 years in the future. I saw myself with thousands and thousands of people on top of the mountain celebrating a new age. But before that were to happen, the American century would travel through its expiration. There will still be many elements to be traveled and revealed that would conclude the American century in a most exciting and tragic way. It was in those 864 days that I would turn it all around. Emily's light was guiding me. I would go from being the village freak to the front page hero, all because I stuck to my vision. But it didn't happen overnight. There were a lot of bumps and naysayers all along the way, especially in that moment. I was very aware I had to rely on only myself and Emily during this metamorphosis. So like I said, I went back to the island and kept my thoughts to myself. I didn't talk too much for a while. And I created the Vital Light newsletter. And I started telling everyone how many days were remaining until the year 2000, at the end of the century. And this was like in 1997 when nobody was thinking about it. So they all thought I was out of my mind, but I stuck to the plan because Emily kept me going. It was her vital light. It was an exchange, and it was my job to capture America at the turning of the century. All right. So what we're talking about here is, the 100-day haul, right? The 100-day haul. Now, this format that we're in right now is a video format, okay? It takes place during the final 100 days of the 90s. This book actually takes place from 1989 till 2000. But from here on out, we're going to take you on the haul because we took over 50 hours of video, all right? And, I'm going to put it together for you. From here on out, after this episode, we're going to talk about the beginning of the launch, and then we're going to show you video, and we're going to release it in a timely manner on my own time, because I don't have all the time in the world to do it. I'm raising children. I've got a lovely wife. I've got a career. By the way, I do have a career. Oh, what? I guess I got to wrap it up.
Why don't you actually talk about the book?
I am talking about the book. At any rate.
Yeah, I remember when you stopped by and took a picture of
Don't forget.
where I was.
Don't forget Mother's Day tomorrow. May 9th.
You actually called me and told me to be a part of the street
This is the Vital Light.
at 3:30 one day during the
Tisbury Printer.
100-day haul.
My friend Chris.
I waited on a bench.
Hey, who's singing right now? Anyways, I do all the photogumentaries. Thanks
Came zooming
to
by.
T. Christopher Decker. And my name is Christopher Thomas
Camera
Huff.
out the window, stopped and took a picture of me. He said, Beach, what's up? I gotta go. A lot of states to go.
All right. Until we meet again. Over and out.